Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Scotty Miller is starting for the team against the Cleveland Browns with Calvin Austin 3 out with a shoulder injury. Austin was sent to a local hospital and put in a sling after immediately suffering the injury. Croke Park did not have an X-ray machine locally, though those X-rays came back as negative for Austin. As for when he returns, Austin says he will leave that up to the medical staff. It will be Miller's first start with the Steelers over the last 2 seasons, and he will have to pick up the slack for Austin, who has been the team's down-the-field threat. Head coach Mike Tomlin says that Miller knows all of the spots in the offense and praised him during the ramp-up period to the regular season. "He knows all the spots," Tomlin said. "He's highly conditioned. He's very competitive. He's a been-there, done-that guy, and so there's a lot of value in his presence." If Austin is out for an extended period of time, Miller is likely to be the first guy up off the bench, with Roman Wilson, Keshawn Williams, and Ben Skowronek figuring into the plans, too. Overall satisfied with his effort against one All-Pro edge pass rusher Sunday, Broderick Jones spent Monday prepping to face another just 3 days later. "This is the NFL, man," Jones said. "It never gets easy." Jones was the primary offensive lineman lined up across from the Cleveland Browns' Myles Garrett during the Steelers' 23-9 victory Sunday, in which Aaron Rodgers was not sacked, and Garrett was credited with just one hurry by Pro Football Focus. Garrett shared 2024 first-team AP All-Pro status for edge defender with Trey Hendrickson of the division rival Cincinnati Bengals. The Steelers are in Cincinnati on Thursday night, and like Garrett, Hendrickson most often lines up on the right side of the defense, which is across from left tackle Jones. "He's just a relentless player," Jones said of Hendrickson, who had 17.5 sacks last season and has 4 through 6 games in 2025. "He never stops.
He has a motor about him.
He has a deep bag of tools, man. So you've just got to be on your game when it comes to playing him, because you can't sleep. He'll catch you." Hendrickson has 9.5 sacks in 8 career games against the Steelers, including 3.5 in the most recent regular season finale. But the vast majority of those snaps were when Hendrickson was lined up against former Steelers left tackle Dan Moore Jr. Jones was moved from right tackle to the left side this offseason, and set aside from isolated reps, he hasn't been tasked all that often with clocking Hendrickson. According to PFF, after allowing 7 pressures over the first 2 games of the season, Jones has been charged with just 4 pressures in aggregate over the past 3 games. "You've got good players every week, so you just got to continue to prepare the right way," Jones said. The Pittsburgh Steelers paid outside linebacker Alex Highsmith in 2023 to be one of the best players at his position in the league. They did the same on the eve of the following season when they signed tight end Pat Freiermuth's to a lucrative contract extension. Yet here the 2 established veterans are well into 2025, sharing playing time with younger, lower-profile teammates either because of injury, Highsmith, or circumstance, Freiermuth, and the emergence of the guys below them on the depth chart, both. Nick Herbig stepped in while Highsmith dealt with an ankle injury and showed signs of blossoming into a game-wrecking star like his mentor, TJ Watt. Freiermuth led the Steelers in receptions in 2024 but now finds himself in a crowded tight ends room that includes Jonas Smith and mountainous Darnell Washington, who at 6'8" and well above his listed weight of 265 pounds, is a matchup nightmare. Standing in the corner of a business-like Steelers locker room following a 23-9 victory over Cleveland on Sunday that pushed Pittsburgh's record to 4-1, Freiermuth just shrugged when asked about his lack of production relative to his salary. The game plan evolves weekly. Lately, that's meant more snaps for Washington, who serves as a 6th offensive lineman when he's not out running routes. Sometime down the road, Freiermuth knows he'll get an opportunity to reprise his role as the reliably sure-handed zone buster. Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, talks with cornerback Jalen Ramsey, 5, in the first half of an NFL football game against the Cleveland Browns in Pittsburgh, Sunday, October 12, 2025. AP photo/Gene J. Puskar. So rather than pout about wanting the ball, Freiermuth smiled while talking about Washington hauling in 3 passes for a career-high 62 yards, including an entertaining 36-yard catch and rumble on Pittsburgh's first drive. "He balled out and we won," Freiermuth said. "And that's the name of the game. So anytime we can put together offensive performances like that and win the game, There's nothing to be complaining about. It's much the same for Highsmith, who played 47 snaps, to 50 for Herbig and 49 for Watt, in his return from an ankle injury that forced him to miss 2.5 games. Their selfless approach is reflective of a team that has quietly and responsibly navigated the first third-ish of the season without an ounce of drama, somewhat uncommon for a club that has seen its share of devious behavior through the years. See Pickens, George and Brown, Antonio and Harrison, James, among others. While Highsmith and Freiermuth have taken a step back, safety Jalen Ramsey nearly doubled his career sack total by dropping Cleveland's Dillon Gabriel twice despite being severely limited in practice with a hamstring injury. It didn't stop Ramsey from being the physically dominant force the Steelers envisioned when they traded for him in June. What stands out to Ramsey's teammates, however, isn't what he did when the lights were turned on, but what he did behind the scenes to make it out there in the first place. I think some guys are scared to go out there and play when they're hurt, but for Jalen to go out there with everything he has accomplished in this league, I just can't say enough about the level of respect I have for him, quarterback Aaron Rodgers said, later adding, if there is any question about the type of person that he is, take away the incredible player, but the person and teammate. I think he just showed all of us the kind of guy that he is by going out there and playing today. Finding the right practice squad guys to turn to during a given week. Wide receiver Kushawn Williams took advantage of the active roster spot that opened up because of Calvin Austin III's injury by providing some explosion in the kick return game. Williams had 80 yards combined on returns against Cleveland, a number that would have been higher if a 47-yard punt return in the second quarter was wiped out by a questionable blindside block penalty against Jabril Peppers. Not much, though the Steelers will need to tighten up the details after being flagged 10 times for 59 yards, 6 of which produced first downs for the Browns. Watt, who tries to get as close to the neutral zone as possible at the snap, was twice penalized for being offside, one of which wiped out a fumble recovery by Peppers. Tight end Connor Hayward has spent most of his 4 seasons trying to prove that he's more than longtime defensive captain Cam Hayward's little brother. While he's done enough to win over the coaching staff, he knows the doubters remain. Yet all he does when given an opportunity is find a way to produce, whether it's converting the first tush-push of his career as he did against Minnesota last month, or making a diving 12-yard touchdown reception in which he broke off a route and shifted back to the left after a nod from Rodgers. The turf at Acrisure Stadium typically becomes a chewed-up mess late in the season, leading the section between the hash marks to be resodded as the early stages of winter start to creep in. This year, its troubles seem to have arrived ahead of schedule. Rodgers criticized the field's shoddy state after special teams ace Miles Killebrew left with a knee injury and kicker Chris Boswell slipped on a late field goal attempt well within his range, calling it borderline unplayable. Austin's achy right shoulder could force him to miss a second straight game. Killebrew is out with a knee injury. 9-0. Pittsburgh's record following a bye week since 2017, the second longest active post-bye winning streak in the league. Try to avoid a letdown game when they travel to Cincinnati to face the reeling Bengals, 2-4, on Thursday night. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-1, and that usually means they are on track to be buyers, not sellers at the trade deadline. However, there is one player the Steelers should look to sell, tight end Pat Freiermuth. I know. Freiermuth is a fan favorite and a good player, but someone tell the Steelers the latter because it doesn't seem like they have much use for him this year. Through 5 games, Freiermuth has just 8 catches for 76 yards and is playing on less than half, 46.8%, of the team's snaps. And, after averaging 32.3 snaps per game over the first 3, Freiermuth has averaged just 18 the last 2 contests. Part of that has to do with the fact that the Steelers just have too many damn tight ends on the roster with Jonas Smith and Darnell Washington, but it's also because Washington continues to ascend into a bigger role. The 2023 third-round pick has quietly gone from averaging 23 snaps per contest over the first 3 weeks to 47.5 over the last 2 games. Meanwhile, Smith has seen his snaps stay steady outside of Week 4. It's clear that Freiermuth has fallen out of favor with offensive coordinator Arthur Smith for whatever reason, and the Steelers now have a $48 million tight end basically doing nothing. As far as compensation is concerned, the Steelers would probably fetch a day 3 pick, or they could flip Freiermuth for a player that helps a position of need. Not a great return, but it's better than having Freiermuth riding the pine and having nothing to show for it other than the salary cap hit.